I have the proctor to examinee PDF pulled up, and I'm putting it back into the comments so everybody can take a look at that. If you're an examinee or proctor, this is a great resource to have to see what's allowed in your books. And I'm just going to go down the list of 11 items that that we require for books. And the first is CPT, AMA Professional Edition only. No other publisher is allowed. And I don't think there is another publisher.
Well, so with the reason why we don't allow the alternative CPT books like your expert edition or the other editions that there might be, if it's not the AMA professional version, a lot of the test questions come from the coding guidelines and the parenthetical notes that are in the CPT professional version. So if you're using another publisher's version of CPT, you might be missing those important things that we know are covered on the exam. So it's more to set the examinee up for success versus us just not liking a particular publisher. It just has to do with how these exams are created and what the examinee needs access to during the exam.
Okay. And I'm going to take 2 and 3 and bundle it into one. So 2 says your choice of ICD-10-CM also approved the printed ICD-10-CM guidelines, highlighting, underlining, and brief notations needed for day-to-day coding is permitted on the printed side of the page. Long passages of information is not permitted on the blank pages of the printout. And then 3 is your choice of HCPCS level 2. So real quick, we've talked about different book publishers, but is there an advantage for examinees to use AAPC, HCPCS, ICD-10 books?
I think so, just because when we are developing our version of ICD-10-CM, PCS, and the HCPCS level 2, we have tips in there. And if you're taking courses from AAPC, the curriculum is in line with those books. So I would recommend our books for examinees to take their exam, especially if they're going through any one of our education products. Now, the reason for, if you print out the official ICD-10-CM guidelines, the reason why we don't allow extensive note taking on the blank page is, again, going back to the intent of the notes. Notes throughout the book are meant to be pertinent to that section of the book, tying information to that area. Again, it's not a place for you to just take everything out of the study guide and repurpose it on a piece of paper. So that's the reason why we don't allow writing on the back of it.
Okay. And speaking of pieces of paper, are sticky notes and stapling your own notes into the pages, is that any of that allowed?
No, you're not allowed to insert new material. The only thing that you're allowed to do is tabbing. Now, you can write the word on the section that you're tabbing, that's allowed. But, adding stickies with extensive notes, we've had people white out important notes in CPT to make their own notes. Yeah, that's not allowed either. You're not allowed to insert or replace anything that is intended to be in the book.
Okay, all right. Just scrolling down on the PDF to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, there's a handful here that talk about supplements that you can bring, like 4 states, the CMS 1995 and 1997 evaluation and management guidelines, E&M audit worksheets of your choice, ASA RVG, CPT crosswalk, anatomical charts or pictures of the vascular tree. Any comments about these items? Are they helpful?
Yeah, those items are intended for our specialty certifications. When you are taking a specialty certification exam, there's going to be questions that are of a different format than what you will see on one of the core exams like CPC, for example. So that's why we recommend some of those alternate or supplemental things that you can take in as a resource, because as a specialty coder, there's going to be resources that you have available to you at work that help you in your job. And with our certification exams, we're trying to mimic that work. So we want you to have access to resources that you would typically need at work to be able to code those types of cases.
Okay.
With the anatomical charts, those are very helpful during the cert exam. So for each one of the certifications, we have the approved additional resource that you can bring in. And I know that examinees do find them very, very helpful.
Okay. All right. And to close out this section, it talks about a reference guide of your choice. This does allow medical dictionary.
And that is specific to the specialties. Because
Okay.
the specialty exams are case-based questions that have multiple questions attached to a full operative note or a full progress note for E&M. That is the reason why those resources are available to you during the specialty certification.